women and of women in tech, and as a dear friend. Thank you, Hussein Al-Mahmoudi. For being a man who empowers women, who recognizes the importance of equal growth, who believed in women in tech, vision, even when that vision was nothing more than a little excited and passionate pitch. You trusted us from the very beginning. You have been there from the very beginning. And I am honored to be here today in your home, in your homeland, and to bring with me the strength and the power of all the women in chapters around the world. I look forward to witness what we're going to still carry on doing together, and we're very honored to have you as an advisory board member of our global movement. Thank you so much. And without further ado, have a lovely Women's International Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayumi Moore, and congratulations on the upcoming Global Summit. And also nearly 250,000 members and in 6 continents. I must applaud for all the hard work and congratulations for all women in tech and women leading in tech. Your presentation set a line that resembles what we all see. And that is, when women rise, we all rise. And the portrait of success looks different for a man and a woman. Yet success is the portrait of both together. Thank you so much. The next speaker, we are extremely honored to have Her Excellency Minister Mariam El-Mohary, Minister for Climate Change and Environment, to address us as audience and also women in tech. There is a recorded version of her welcome speech to all of us.
Your Excellency Hussein Al-Mahmoudi, Excellencies, distinguished guests, a wonderful good afternoon. It's a pleasure to address you today on International Women's Day, when we celebrate the indispensable role of women in building nations. I would like to thank the Sharjah Research, Technology and Innovation Park and Women in Tech for organizing this timely event and for their significant contributions to creating opportunities for women to make their mark in the technology sector. Back when I was studying mechanical engineering at RWTH Aachen University, there were only a few women in my course. And once I graduated and started to work for a company engineering hybrid bearings for Formula One cars, women in this domain were few and far between. That's why it warms my heart to see an increasing interest among women and girls in studying STEM subjects and pursuing careers in this traditionally male-dominated field. In the UAE, women make up 56% of government university graduates in STEM subjects. Educating girls is crucial. It equips them with the skills and knowledge that enable them to take the lead in developing innovative technological solutions to the most pressing concerns facing the world. Here in the UAE, women play an integral role in accelerating sustainable development and positioning the country as a global hub for advanced technology. For instance, women comprise 80% of the scientific team behind Emirates Mars mission, the first interplanetary mission led by an Arab country. The continued success of women in the UAE is a natural outcome of the pioneering approach of our wise leadership to empowering women and building their capabilities. It also testifies to the immense potential of our women, their strong desire to develop themselves, and their dedication to the pursuit of excellence. It always fills me with pride when I look at how far our women have come and what they have accomplished in translating our nation's aspirations into reality. Today, inclusion and diversity can go a long way in driving progress. As women, we bring a unique perspective and valuable skills to the table, which are essential ingredients for innovation. Encouragingly, the numbers of women heading green tech companies are on the rise, as we have a stronger interest in environmental, social, and corporate governance factors than men do. However, the public and private sectors must work together to unlock women's potential through education, training, and reskilling for jobs in technology. I am confident that in this kind of environment, women will perform nothing short of miracles and become change makers to spearhead the use of technology for the greater good. Today, you will hear from women pioneers at the cutting edge of technology who are shaping the future of innovation. Our distinguished speakers are a clear proof that gender is not a barrier to achieving greatness in this field. I hope you enjoy listening to these inspirational personalities and leave the event with a wealth of new knowledge and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you to Her Excellency Minister Maryam Al-Maheri and the wisdom that she has shared and the examples that we see, and very shortly all the practices and the beliefs and the visions that we will hear today and discuss in the panel discussions and so forth. The next speaker to join us on stage is Mr. Mohammed Hilal, CEO and founder of Mohammed Hilal Group. But before that, there is a video that shall be shown. After we will have the video.
Check, it's working. Alhamdulillah, we started to hold the video because it's a surprise for someone. We'll share it later. To start, thank you, His Excellency Hussein Al-Mahmoud, for making this event happen. And thank you, Her Excellency, she's somewhere here, for her amazing, touching speech. I'm so touched with her ambition, with her dream, and we'd love to contribute to that. The official positive speech has been done. Now it will be a little bit emotional. Are we ready for an emotional speech? Yes? Okay, good, great. That's why we're here. You know, technology is amazing. Changed our life and made it so much better. Since 1970, when the World Wide Web was created and the computer were invented and the software were developed, our lives become so fast and so easy. So fast, with no moment we remember. So easy, without joy. Do you agree? يعني ولا منقول ولا هني? Okay. In reality, what happened that our lifestyle with the support of technology has advanced so much. So externally we advanced, but inside we have not advanced much. And you will notice that with the new generation, they're never happy. Whatever you do to them, whatever you give them, they're still not happy. I remember when we were young, we were happy playing with a cotton ball, right? Today, with all this technology, we still feel something is missing. And that's why we exist. We exist to create new emotion. Have you thought of this, creating a new emotion? Yes? Is it possible? This is our gift to women in technology today. We're creating and launching a new emotion. And I would like to raise something very important. If technology advances so much and we inside, we don't advance, what will happen? We will have the greatest tool with a broken person that has a huge waste. And now you're agreeing, صح? Good. That's why we need to advance both emotions and everything else. Today, we're launching a new feeling. And that feeling is something we believe we all need. And that feeling is inspired by a little girl. She's a girl, a woman, okay, that really always motivates me, inspires me, push me for more, and she's here today. And that feeling is a gift from me to her for her master degree. Can you welcome Alia, please, to stage? Alia is a very very dedicated, very hardworking. She wrote her first book at the age of 17. She pushed every barrier, but respect all the ethics, all the values, and value the culture big time. So Alia, you're a great inspiration for women. Thank you. And I want to tell you that this gift is not like any other gift. That this gift, inshallah, will last forever. And that's the idea of the gift to her. Thank you, Alia. مبروك. مبروك. تسألون طبعا منو عليا بنت أخوي. إيه بنت أخوي. إلسي ارتاحي. It is our dream, genuinely, to make every one of you guys here next year coming, waiting for a new feeling. We want you to feel as much as excited to know about a new phone launched or a new car is launched. We want you to wait for that new feeling. Because no matter what we think, we really need those new feelings. The new feeling name is Alia E, okay? Which is a space up there every woman looking for to feel a special feeling, to feel great, to stay feeling great, so they can remove the stare there. And please, could you put the video for us to enjoy the new feeling? Before that, as a corporate, we create a new feeling, but as each individual brand has a responsibility to that feeling. Hind al-Oud responsibility is to create a scent to every emotion. Have you felt that the emotion could have a smell? Yes? Great. ما بتكلم وايد عن الإيموشن والروائح وكذا. So let's celebrate Aliai, a new emotion. I wish you girls and guys to live that emotion every day, everywhere. And later you will smell that emotion. Please, thank you.
Aliai, effortlessly rising. Aliai, the new emotion that we are giving to the world, inspired by a young girl who is always effortlessly rising. Always in perfect balance, this mindset encapsulates the emotion of Aliai, centered, calm and wise, sweet with contentment, yet finely poised with the highest motivation and growth. Forever inspired, forever moving, an effortless mindset of calm determination. A serene inner space to cultivate you and your passions and grow together always. Effortlessly rising to create my own space, a space that never existed before.
Thank you, guys. Alia is a unique space that doesn't exist. It's created by you, for you, with your brain, with the support of the idea that you want to be there somewhere. Alia, this is not big, but it's aligned with women in technology. It is very impactful. تفضلي. حبيبتي. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hamad Hilal, and the advancement of feeling in the realm of advancement of technology. There will be more discussion, Mr. Mohammed, in the forum of hospitality, where then the essence of connecting the reality and feeling goes a very long way in remembrance. Without further ado, we shall open the stage to our inspiring panelists and also the moderators. I shall introduce the topic and the moderator, who then will introduce all the panelists to you all. The topic discussion, I believe we shall have that on, yes? The first panel discussion and topic discussion is reimagining technologies to advance human longevity. The moderator is Soraya Turk, Managing Director at Legal Circle Law Firm. Please join me in welcoming Soraya, who will then introduce her panelists to the stage. Hello, Soraya. I can sit there. Yes, I'll do that.
So hello and welcome to Sharjah Research Technology Innovation Park. My name is Soraya Turk, and as she introduced, I'm the managing partner of Legal Circle. We're a law firm based in the Sharjah Park itself, actually, and focus on working with and supporting tech startups. So today it's only fitting that I moderate this conversation with an amazing panel of speakers. So on this occasion of Women International Day, we will talk to amazing, inspiring women who are at the forefront of technology advancement that promote well-being and longevity, and who are inspiring others, and particularly women, to be part of technology. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the panel speakers today. Her Excellency Dr. Mariam Matta, founder and chairperson of the UAE Genetic Disease Association. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Mariam Matta. Thank you, Dr. Mariam Matta. And I'd also like to introduce Marjana Koulis, Managing Director for Johnson & Johnson Medical Devices in the Middle East. Welcome to the stage. Sarah Ramadan, CEO and founder of Pharma V-Gate Academy. Welcome, Sarah. And last but not least, Sophie Smith, co-founder and CEO of NAPTA Health, who is also based in Sharjah Research Technology and Innovation Park. So thank you, ladies, and welcome. Happy International Women's Day. It's a pleasure to have you today and to speak to you about the amazing advancements and the movement and encouragement that you're doing in this space, and particularly the field of health. So as you're aware, today we'll have a discussion, and I'm going to, I know it's a little bit difficult where I can't see everybody, but I'll address you by name perhaps. But I'd like to start the conversation with you, Dr. Mariam. What I'd like to start with is today we're speaking about reimagining technologies to human longevity. And what I think we should begin with is let's define what longevity is and provide perhaps an example of how technology is supporting longevity in the healthcare space. And I think you've got a...
Yes, sure, I think. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. And again, I would like to extend a special thanks to my dear brother Hussein. Our relation and our sister and our relation goes back to Shell. It goes back to 2005. And from the beginning, Hussein is there to stand and back up any female.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much once again, Khoy Hussein. So when we talk about, let's say, I prefer to define it in a different way. The main aim of anything related to individual to live longer is to maintain a healthy life. So we don't want them to reach age of 100. We want them to maintain a very good health till the age of 100. So simply is improving the quality of the life of the individuals regardless how long they will live. And again, everybody will wonder about one of the interview, which was I had it in 2019 on CNN. Usually I have a different program, but it was hardly it will reach 10,000 view. But I was surprised that it reached 11 million view. Can you imagine why? Simply because I said that my age is 47 and my cells are 16 years old. And that was enough to flare up all the internet. So again, when we talk about longevity and we talk about women in health, specifically in technology, and I'll talk about it as a physician and scientist. In the medical college, they never taught us how to deal with a healthy individual. Usually we look to any patient as a sick patient or he has a disorder where we need to address his error and try to help him to maintain a healthier life. While when I went to Japan and I saw my senior, who was my supervisor, he was 82 years old, and still every day he used to climb the mountains and take his shower in the hot sperm somewhere up there, which is around almost 300 meters, and come back, and being active more than us. And at that time, I knew that there is something going on in the planet Japan. We, in this part of the world, still not aware about it. So I came to know about something called reprogramming your genes. And it is one of the concepts of regenerative medicine, where simply what we do, we recycle the biological age of the cells. And that's simply done by empowering the individual with some very simple tool how to modify your lifestyle with some specific supplement which you need to take. And I said, let me give it a try. And I tried it on myself. In 2011, I took one of a very sophisticated, let's say, blood test, which was a very advanced technology at that time. And it was showing that I am 38 years old at that time. So I was happy to have that age. But again, as soon as I was enrolled in that program, within 6 months, my biological age dropped less than 5 years. So I was 32 within less than 6 months. And then as the year goes, I came to know that my kidney is only 16 years old, my heart is 15 years old, and my ovaries are 28 years old while I am 47.
Wow. Amazing, and I think that's a perfect example of what longevity really is.
Indeed,
yeah,
indeed.
As you rightly said, I think it's the health and maintaining that health for the lifetime. So I'd like to move on to the next speaker with that, and I think. Well, yeah, I was going to address Sarah, because Sarah is within the scientific and pharmaceutical background as well. So you've just had the benefit of hearing Dr. Mariam Attar on what longevity is. So would you agree with that definition more broadly? And what do you think it means in the space of technology as well?
Okay. First, I'm a pharmacist. So whenever I go any place, ladies will ask me, I have this issue with my skin, how to look younger, how to be healthier. So lots of supplements, lots of medications, I guess since age. If I'll give you an assumption, do you agree to live like 100 years from now? Everyone will say yes, I'm very okay with this. But what if? What would be the consequences of having this long age? Do you need to be only longer in your lifespan? Or are you looking for more productivity, more health, and being also more happier? And that's what we cannot agree more. Since then, people started to use everything. Medications, research, doing creams and plastic surgery. Everyone is looking to be in the best shape of themselves. And that's why longevity is not a new concept for pharmacists. I'm a pharmacist and I worked for biotechnology for a long time. So even with biotechnology, we were focusing more how to detect, how to predict disease and issues even before. So I guess now what we have, that's evolution of biomarkers, which means that I can use some markers from your wearables, your devices, to predict your age and predict how your body is functioning and tell you that you are doing good, you can really live happier and healthier, or you have something you need to take care of. So I guess this is the right time, because with the aging, And with the application of age we have, people are very looking for what we're going to do when we got older. We are healthier, countries and government will be burdened by this kind of disease and issues, or we have something to enjoy while we are aging very happily and healthier. So I cannot ignore longevity, and this is a debatable one, but it's very interesting as well for us.
Thank you, Sarah. So, Marjan, I'd like to turn the conversation over to you. So you've now heard from both Sarah and Dr. Mariam about what longevity is, and it's really about, I guess, improving the health and quality of life. What is Johnson & Johnson doing to elevate the standard of the healthcare and reimagine technologies to advance that human longevity?
Thank you, Soraya. But before I go to what Johnson & Johnson is doing, my two ladies before me mentioned the personal story, so I also want to start with that. So my great-grandmother died at 102. My grandmother is 97, and she hardly has any wrinkles. So I think it's also a little bit of luck. And she lives alone, is able to manage herself alone, and is really very sharp with mind. So I think it's not only about the longevity, but also about quality of life, and how the industry and we, and how we are committed as J&J, and I'll speak on behalf of J&J, but I think it's spreads across a lot of great healthcare companies are committed not only to extending the life, but making the life that we have ahead of us really a great quality. But I want to talk about a little bit about maybe the footprint that we have in this. Johnson & Johnson is one of the oldest healthcare companies in the world with almost close to 140 years of history. And I think what makes us really, is a proof point of our success in terms of focusing on longevity and also quality of life of patients is also the set of values that we have unchanged for, almost 8 decades right now. And they focus really on focusing on the patients and the doctors and the nurses and the families. But also they speak about innovation, and we rarely update those, but in the last couple of years they were also updated in order to make sure we also talk about equality and the diversity, which I think is very relevant in today's during today's meeting. So with the history and the values that J&J has, it comes also the responsibility, and I think I'm really proud of saying that J&J is a company that is in the top 3 investors in R&D worldwide in healthcare. We've invested last year almost $15 billion in R&D, and that is 3 times more than 10 years ago. So this is really a big commitment. As medical devices, we produce 20 or more new products every year and bring it to the market to improve that, as the survival, the longevity, but also we want to improve the quality of life, and that innovation in the workplace, innovation at the marketplace, innovation in product processes and policies that we have. I think it's something that is really a strong footprint for my company. With that innovation, the very important element at the beginning is the data, and how we use this data in order to feed ourselves, but also the communities that we serve into making sure that we all work towards the improving of the healthcare outcome.
Very impressive what Johnson & Johnson is doing in that space. So well done to Johnson & Johnson. Of course, you as being the managing director there, I'm sure you're instrumental in that role. Sophie, on the end there, how are you? I just wanted to ask you a little bit about NAPTA Health. So I understand you're the co-founder of NAPTA Health, which is based in Sharjah Research and Technology Park, and you're very involved in obviously women's health and tracking and using technology in that space to improve the quality of life of women. So can you tell us about what you're doing and how instrumental that is in promoting longevity also?
Sure. So we focus on accelerating the detection, diagnosis, and treatment of chronic diseases in women. Primarily focused, in fact, exclusively today, focused on women from emerging markets, Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. For a couple of reasons. This is the most underserved market in the world from a healthcare standpoint. Until 1993, women were mostly excluded from clinical research and trials. still today only 19% of clinical trial participants are women, and the vast majority of those trials occur in the US and Europe, 92%. The remainder occur in the Far East, where they have to be demographically representative. So Middle Eastern, African, and South Asian populations are really a tiny proportion of clinical trial participants. And what that means is that women from this part of the world reliably suffer significantly worse health outcomes than white Caucasian women. If you are a woman of African origin in the UK, you are 4 times more likely to die of pregnancy and childbirth-related complications than a white Caucasian woman. If you're of South Asian origin, you're twice as likely to die. And so there are basic and systemic gender and racial disparities in healthcare today that prevent women from experiencing what we would describe as longevity, which is good health for a long time. I think if you think about longevity for women in general, a lot of it hangs on hormonal health. Really and not just reproductive hormones, but hormones in the body in general, which are incredibly complex, subject today to a huge amount of endocrine disruption. There have been studies done now that shows that the hormonal disruption that women face when they're pregnant significantly negatively impacts the health of their unborn babies, and particularly their male babies. Male fertility has decreased by 50% in the past 30 years. So that's based on the quality and the quantity of sperm, and it is tending to 0 by 2040. A recent study by Frost and Sullivan showed that 97% of women in emerging markets will require help falling pregnant in the next 10 years. So that's not even our children, that's us. That's our sisters, that's our daughters. And so the longevity of women and of humanity will not only become a question of where you are in the world, with populations who are trialed and included in clinical research more having a higher likelihood of living long, healthy lives, but also will be a factor of how much assisted reproductive technology, advice, support, treatment you can access. Because if you can't fall pregnant naturally, you will require additional support. So I think in order to address longevity challenges, we really want to do 2 things. Firstly, we want to address some of the systemic racial and gender biases that exist in healthcare today by being headquartered here, by building healthcare that is by women and for women in the region, understanding that it's an incredibly diverse part of the world and the needs of women in every country will be different, and it's their voice that we must listen to first. And the second thing we need to do is, and that we're trying to do, is to understand what every woman's hormone profile looks like, and by collecting data, by using machine learning, understanding the different triggers for chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases, which is when your body starts to sort of attack itself, things like type 1 diabetes, like celiac disease. So understanding what every woman's individual hormonal profile looks like.
Thank you, Sophie, and that's absolutely insightful, and I think the work that you're doing is amazing to really benefit women in that space and improve and encourage longevity overall. So fantastic, thank you. Sarah, I quickly want to move to you because I understand you're also co-founder of PharmaV Education at the Sharjah Research and Technology Park. So similarly, your work is very focused around technology, health, and of course you have the women's element in that as well. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing to promote this work?
Yeah, sure. Actually, because today is a special day, I need to address that PharmaV just started because of the empowerment of women by women. And it was a pure idea. It was created here in Sharjah in a very, we can say, casual meeting where I was discussing how we can improve learning and development for healthcare professionals. And I found the full support. And we started with Sharjah Women Council, Business Council in the beginning. It was a casual meeting and I got the full support of this, let's go and have it. And then the journey started. So we were born here and we are growing here as well. So that's why I'm so obsessed with being in women in tech. And regarding learning and development, using technology, I guess we all in the same area. Either you're doing VR and AR like us, or you're doing something regarding to NAPTA. So even AI and detection. Every woman will have a challenge if you will start your own startup, especially tech-based, and you have lots of way to learn and lots of, I guess, misconception about yourself to validate. because sometimes you don't believe that you can do it. If you're going for programming or cybersecurity or AI, people might not be familiar with this. You need to challenge yourself first and then go for it. But some good news that according to Wall Street banks, investment banks, that we will have a big opportunity of investment for startups who are focusing on longevity, genomics, AI health, or e-wearables that will increase and help the lifespan of humanity to be more and productivity to be more. We have estimation of 600 billion to be an investment from now till 2025, which is an incredible amount. We need lots of women to be in this, not only to be in technology, but also to be able to lead a technology team. How you can do this, it's very tough, you know?
Yeah, and that's a perfect point that we should close on and take the conversation to Dr. Mata, because I think she can be instrumental in answering that question exactly. Dr. Mata, when we were speaking just yesterday, we were talking about the role of women, the role in technology and leadership. And you also talked about how women can harness their genetic makeup, their disposition and their hormones to improve that. So perhaps we can hear about more on that from you.
I'll go back to the regenerative medicine and the reprogramming your gene, the program itself. We'll go back to biology. As a human being, there is a huge difference between female and male. And there is nothing to say better or bad. It's simply different. And that's what makes us unique. And when we talk about women herself, it goes back in 2005 when I graduated from Sheikh Mohammed Leadership Program. And at that time, I do remember throughout the 2 years of the program, there were no single subject or topic was discussed to differentiate between female leadership and male leadership. And being a physician, I knew that there is big difference between male and female. Until today, there is 2 decisions I took which I regret. And later on, I came to know that I took them while I was under the control of estrogen. It was the first day of my period, and the other one was 1 day before my period. And I never knew that it will affect me, but not necessarily in a bad way. But as soon as I came to know the impact of such time in the month, those 5 days, that I will not be myself, and there will be some biological changes which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, empowered us with to become a mother. So then I start reading more about it. I came to know that we as a female, if we understand our biology, we would be much better in dealing with the life challenges. And going back to technology, without technology, me and anyone else, we were not able to differentiate the difference between male and female leadership. But history, with a big data analysis, proved that female, if she's in a position and she's surrounded herself with only female, they will end up within 8 months having their period within the same week. Can you imagine the dangerous, you know? So as a female, I came to know about this fact, and I make sure whatever leadership program I'll take or any project I will be leading or being part of it, I'll make sure there is half-half. There is enough testosterone around us throughout the year, even at that week after 8 months, where we all will be under the control of estrogen. But again, that is
profound.
Yeah, but again, that's not bad. But as soon you'll know how you can control your estrogen, wow, you will be a superhuman. You will be man and female, male and female. So then I came to know the importance of good sleep during your period. You need to be in bed. Before 11:30, you need to be in the stage 2 of your sleep cycle. The impact of...
I suppose that's for man and woman.
Both,
Okay.
but for female specifically.
Okay,
the impact of green tea, which is really huge. I came to know about it later. And the impact of a very yummy, rich in fat breakfast during the first 5 days. And that itself, again, I'm talking from a scientific background. So when we go back to longevity and people who can age for longer life while they are in a good quality, again, we came to know the impact of sleep and the difference between the response of my body as a female to impaired sleep and the difference between impaired sleep and the impact on male. It was huge. And it was a huge, significant differences. And that's why we can see majority of recruitment in defense are male. Not because they are more masculine, simply because they are empowered with a different biology which help them to stay late with less impact in disturbing their circadian rhythm. While with a female, we won't be able to do that. So understanding all those and embedding in all the legislation, whenever we give a female a position, we need to empower her with that safety net around her. Make sure all those empowering environment which will make her more stable during this 5 days when she will be different. I think that will help us as a female to perform better and have less error. And I think we achieve a better outcome as a team, male and female.
Well, that's absolutely amazing and such a profound learning. I mean, from a scientific study as well. So I'm not going to ask your opinion, ladies, because that's a statement of fact rather than opinion. No. But what I'd like to do is, in the spirit of International Women's Day, is perhaps explore more the challenges that women face moving into the technology space. You know, we've heard just from Dr. Matar now about our own biologies and understanding what works for us and having that safety and support around us. But what other challenges arise? And I think I'd like to ask you this question, Marjana, because I know that within Johnson & Johnson, you're very focused on empowering women. So what do you see as being the challenges, and how do you see that women can overcome those?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. I think first, before we go to the challenge, I really think that, you know, it's important to make the point that having a diverse representation in any industry is not only a smart thing to do, but is also the right thing to do. And I think that has to be a guiding principle for all of us. And why is it a smart thing to do? We know that you know, there were lots of recent studies showing that women are, you know, diverse workforces are causing 8 times better business outcome or the outcome of the performance of the company. 6 times, the companies that are diverse are 6 times more innovative. And in this environment, I think that's a very relevant, and also multiple times more successful financially. And I think that, you know, that element of being the right thing to do and also being a smart thing to do is extremely important. What are the barriers? I think when you think about the barriers or the obstacles to achieve that balanced picture, I think you have to look into what are the main areas that kind of attract or are the reasons why there is more diversity. One of them is awareness and mindset, and I think the areas of the focus on creating the strong awareness among the female representation, you know, from the early start, from girls going up to the more, you know, senior women. I think it's an important and responsibility for all of us, also in the industry. So awareness and the mindset. And the second one is availability of programs. And I think we've heard some of the programs here, and yeah, we are, you know, under the auspices of one of those today. And I think that's more and more of this kind of initiatives will allow us to break those obstacles. But also, and finally, you know, where I think what are the barriers is still not enough of the representation and the followership. I think being the advocates of women in STEM is an important and a critical factor for the success. I'm probably one of the very few non-scientists here, but I'm very proud to be an advocate for female in STEM. And also on behalf of J&J, I think we run globally already for 7 years. We run the program called Women in STEM 2D, which is aiming at development of the young girls and also younger women into the technology, encouraging them to join industry through creating the awareness, giving the opportunities, designing the special programs. In the last 7 years, we touched 13 million female around the globe. And we launched this program in UAE, in Middle East. I'm also very proud, in 2020. And we so far have provided the programs for 1,400 girls around UAE and some, spreading it to other countries of the region as well. So hopefully we are, putting our small brick into building this beautiful future.
Absolutely, and thank you once again. I'd like to take the conversation over to the two co-founders there. So being women, starting up companies within the tech field and particularly within health, what were some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those? And what would be your advice to those in the audience who are embarking on a similar journey? Yeah, sure, anyone can take that, yeah.
I guess the main challenge that longevity or technology or that one of that topic, it's not a unidimensional topic. We need everyone to be part. Where we have different stakeholders. We need corporates like J&J. We need startups. We need government. We need investors. So everyone should be in the same boat so we can move forward. And it all said that we can move in longevity, especially with the speed of our physicians, doctors. And that's why today I encourage every one of you to learn more about longevity, what we mean by it, because it can touch your life and how your body is functioning. There is one interesting course on Teachable. It's called longevity.degree, which is very nice one. It's a little bit scientific, but it will give you a glimpse about what's longevity and how you can be contributing to this aspect. Because whenever we use your smartwatch or the wearables we have or whatever device, and this kind of awareness that we are raising a lot, this topic will be more familiar. Technology will be more friendly for everyone, and nobody will be scared from the tech-based or the tech-led startups, because ladies are here, but they can do it. And that's why we encourage every lady to go, learn, listen to what everyone did, and then take your own step. You will make a change and impact. So lead by impact. I would take this word, ROI. So the return of impact, that's what we are looking for in this aspect.
Thank you so much. Sophie, what's your opinion on the topic?
So I'll speak briefly about three, I suppose, compounding sets of challenges that one might face as a female founder in health tech. The challenges of having a female-oriented company, the challenges of being a female founder, and then the challenges of having also a deep tech company, so something that requires a period of research and development, specifically here in the region. I'll start with the latter, and this is something that obviously the park is working very hard to address, and that's support for companies that have any sort of research and development associated with them. If you look at the tech ecosystem today, it still predominantly invests into e-commerce, marketplaces, logistics, fintech, software that with a relatively good team and a small amount of capital, you can have up and running and revenue generating within a matter of months. Obviously, if you have a company that requires an R&D period, if you do any sort of clinical trials or research, then you're talking 5-7 years perhaps to get through the different clinical stages to get your device approved or your drug or whatever it is. And so you need patient capital, money that is willing to, firstly, grant funding, and then equity financing where the money sits and it does nothing except build a company and build a product for a number of years. So I think today we need more grant funding available in the region to support research and development-led companies, and then we'll see more deep tech companies. About having a female-oriented company or a femtech company. In general, if you look at the tech ecosystem, we're maybe a couple of years, although again that's rapidly changing with COVID, behind the ecosystems in, for example, Silicon Valley. So last year, Femtech saw its first really big year in the US and Europe in terms of uptake, in terms of investment. There was, Femtech had its first unicorn, a company called Maven, which secured $1 billion plus valuation with $110 million investment. To date, there hasn't been a single venture capital dollar invested into Femtech in the Arab world. That will change this year. Organon, which is a women-focused pharmaceutical company, has just partnered with Flat 6 Labs, a venture builder and seed and Series A fund here in the region, to launch the first Femtech accelerator. And the 10 companies that go through that will likely secure venture capital funding. So that historically has been a challenge, but should change. And then I think the third challenge is being a female-founded company. There are more solo female founders than there are solo male founders, which already slightly breaks the model that venture capitalists are used to seeing. You know, everyone talks about having a co-founder, and that's based on a Silicon Valley model that is very male-dominated. A lot of female-founded companies have solo founders. In the MENA region last year, we saw a record year in terms of finance for startups. Over $4 billion invested. 1.2% of that funding went to female-founded companies, which was actually down 50% proportionately on the year before, about $44 million in total. So lack of access to capital for female-founded companies is a big issue, and I think one of the predominant reasons for that is that there aren't enough women in the parts of the ecosystem that decide to invest in companies full stop, not just in female-founded companies.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think I see the same trend across lots of the different clients that we work with in Femtech as well. So thanks so much, Sophie, and I'll come back to the work that you're doing and the initiative that you're doing to encourage and support women to invest in different startups. But I want to take the conversation over just for a moment to Dr. Mariam Mattar, because Dr. Mariam, you're the founder and chairperson of UAE Genetic Disease Association, and I believe that you're a pioneer in that field, in that industry. And so that wouldn't have come without its challenges as well. I think, you know, breaking that stereotypical image of women, and particularly in an Arab country, and you really leading that way. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You know, when people talk about challenges, and being Emirati women, I cannot fake it up, you know. I don't have any challenges, wallah. Yani, truly, I'll tell you.
None whatsoever?
Not the challenges which I'm really, again, I'm trying to be realistic as much as possible. And this is the debate which I will be in wherever international gathering for a woman. And they start talking about all those horrible challenges, you know, they face on daily basis. But again, I was lucky enough to be in this lovely country in the right time. I'm surrounded with a great support from my family, from my husband, from my team, and from my leaders. And on top of all, we have a legislations, and that should be with thin line underneath. When you talk about women empowerment in any part of the world, developed or developing country, you can see some sporadic examples. But when it comes to United Arab Emirates, we have a law by which any female, she is equal to her brother. That is significant when you talk about women empowerment on community level, which is not even available in the neighboring countries. But again, the other challenge which I believe a woman is facing in United Arab Emirates as a woman, that we tend to forget ourselves. So we get overwhelmed with responsibilities where we need to do our best, where we need to do, where everybody will say salute for her for what she's doing. But unfortunately, majority of the statistic on United Arab Emirates level, female, as soon as she will take any senior position, she will tend to have decline in her health. We will start first by her blood pressure. She's more prone to gain weight. She's more prone to be stressful and get irregular period. She will end up having polycystic ovaries. She will end up having some breakdown within the meeting, simply because she's a human, but she forget that as a woman, we need to take care of ourselves as well. So my only challenge and other female challenge when we come in a position is that we tend not to take care of ourselves. So I believe anyone here who's hearing us, if he is a husband or a brother or let's say a director or a manager of a company, my request to them, at least in this day, give the female an off. For example, tomorrow, she will have 4 hours where she needs to go to primary healthcare clinics, do a full checkup, and let her check her health. And in my opinion, if you are a good boss, and if you are a good husband, if you are a good brother, you need to make sure that your sister are enrolled in a fitness club. And that itself a different dimension of appreciation for a woman and helping her to overcome this challenge where we forget ourselves. And finally, I need to note that as an Emirati woman. I'm so proud of my Emirati brother and those people, Emirati guys are handsome, good looking. They take very good care of what they wear and how they smell. So a part of that, they are so confident in themselves to give the female such extent of support. That's all what I can say.
It's brilliant. Thank you, Dr. Matar. Yeah. Thank you so much for those comments. And I think that's a good eye-opener. I think you absolutely challenged my question there, but that's brilliant. I think there's two spectrums to it. There's absolutely what you've just said, and I think then is also what Sophie has said. I think, and they're just two different perspectives on almost two different similar concepts also. Sophie, I want to take the conversation back over to you. I'm not making this a debate by any means, but just on that topic of the ecosystem. No, we won't make this a debate. No, just on the topic of the women in the ecosystem and the startup space and the lack of funding that they've received within that femtech space, you're, I understand, encouraged or been part of a movement at the moment. So, and I think that could be the benefit to all of the audience here. Can you tell us a little bit about that initiative?
Yes, I'd love to. And in fact, though the eagle-eyed members of the audience may well have spotted our members in your midst, so slightly out of frustration by some of the hurdles we faced raising capital, last year we launched a movement called 2022 Female Angels, which is a local movement to identify and publicly list 2022 female angel investors for companies in emerging markets by the end of 2022. Can I ask some of the other SteerCo members who are wearing T-shirts to stand up? I know you're there. Trish, Yasmin. Ayumi is also a member of the steering committee. So if you, we realize that there are, if you look at, again, the kind of gaps in terms of gender equity, one of the significant ones is in finance. Women retire with 40% less pension than men around the world, and it's worse in different parts of the world. And a lot of that is to do with the conversations women have about investment, which actually doesn't happen very much. If you go and listen to a couple of guys chatting around the table, they will inevitably at some point discuss their investment portfolio. How many times have you sat down with a female friend and asked her, what did you invest in this week? And so what we want to do is challenge some of the perceptions that women have around money, around investment, to make encourage women to think about who and what they invest in, the who being companies ideally they'd like to see more of in the world. You should only really ever be investing in things that if they took off and became a global phenomenon, you'd be happy to attach your name to. So yeah, the first step I think for that is just to find and make publicly available more female angel investors in the space. And then in 2023, we'll have a look at what comes next. But if you have any questions, please do find the guys who are wearing 2022 Female Angel Investors T-shirts and ask them about the movement.
Thanks so much, Sophie, and it's a brilliant initiative, I think much needed in this ecosystem. So that really brings us to a close today. I'd like to thank you all for the input and insight that you've given us. Thank you, Dr. Matar, Marjana, Sarah, and Sophie. And happy Women International Day to all of you, and I think that brings us to the close of this session. Thank you so much, and thank you to all the audience.
Thank you very much, panelists, and I hope the audience is still energized and charged for the next topic of discussion. And it is cryptocurrency funding the future of female-led startups. And this topic also connects with a lot of the discussion points that has happened during the panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming the moderator, His Excellency Mohammed Mushakhar, CEO for Invest in Sharjah, who will also welcome all the panelists and introduce them on stage. Your Excellency Mohammed. I do have the honor to call out the panelists onto the stage. We shall start with Dr. Sarah Saska, CEO of Feminine Unity. Please welcome her with a round of applause. Dina Salmon, founder of CoinMina. Farah Futuriansky, founder of Veritas Venture. Nadia Manal, General Partner at Seed South Capital. Stage is yours. Cryptocurrency funding, the future of female-led startups.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and good afternoon. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the women in this room for the Women International Day. I would like also to congratulate the panelists for this day. And I am delighted to be moderating this session actually, which will address two crucial and interconnected topics that have great impact on economies worldwide. The future of finance and its increasing role in empowering women. Statistics and research shows that men have the lion's share of access to finance and startups. And I am a man, and I'm saying that in front of the ladies. So, especially in the tech sector. But cryptocurrency and blockchain are going to level the playing field and give more access to whom that are in the startup sector. Let's discover all this and more with our esteemed panelists today. So the first panelist would be Dina Saman, and she is one of the pioneers of crypto assets industry in the MENA region. She is the founder and managing director of CoinMina, and strongly believes in the power of crypto to redefine the financial and business landscape. Our second panelist is Vera Futurjansky, and she is an experienced venture and innovation expert and the CEO and founder of Veritas. Is that right? Ventures. Vera is also a strong supporter of female empowerment initiatives and a mentor and social impact advocate. Then we have Dr. Sarah Saska. She is an advisor, a startup investor, and the co-founder and CEO of Feminine Unity. And Dr. Sarah Saska and her team partner with leading technology startups through Fortune 500 companies to embed diversity, equity, and inclusion into their businesses. Our final panelist is Nadia, and she is an active advocate for female-led businesses and funding, and is a general partner at Seed South Capital. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So we all know that crypto will be the future of finance, including those who have difficulties in financing. And there is something new actually happening in the UAE in this sphere. So I just want to say that we have a great news in the UAE which came out recently, and this news is that the UAE is going to introduce a regulation in the support of the creation of crypto asset businesses. So this is a good step forward, and I'm sure that this will encourage access of funding to more women in the future in the UAE. So I am going to start with a general question for everyone about this new thing that is happening in the UAE, and then we'll have separate questions to each and everyone. So my question will go first to Dina, as she is the expert in the regulation of cryptocurrencies. So what do you think, Dina, about the new regulation that is going to be imposed in the UAE?
Can you hear me? First, I'd like to start by thanking the organizers and everyone attending for making such event happen. Such events are very critical for the development of the industry and to showcase its noteworthy achievements. If we tap into regulations, by having dedicated regulatory frameworks, it puts parameters and rules for companies to operate in and within to protect its customers. Because target market here is what? Institutions and individuals. And by establishing those rules and parameters, you're protecting the customers, and you are adding value and attaining more credibility for UAE. With adding also regulations, you are attracting regional and international investors to the market here, pushing people to trade, to invest, startup businesses, which with all of that, it opens up a lot of job opportunities for people. And with those achievements and with all of those achievements, initiatives that are being taken here in UAE, it puts us on the map. It puts us one of the top and one of the most robust regulators out there.
Thank you. So we'll move to Vera and listen to her views on this new regulation in the UAE.
Well, first of all, also I'd like to say thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I also want to congratulate the organizers to having an all-female panel on this topic. So this is quite impressive. Thank you for that.
Moderated by Emil.
Well, my views are, I am all in favor of that. I think the UAE is making an amazing step by opening up so much to this new innovation, because I know some people don't want to believe that this is coming, but really this whole metaverse is coming upon us. I mean, and really just being on our phones, we are almost a little bit in this metaverse because we live online. So for the UAE to be so open and say, here we are, we're welcoming this innovation. We want to be friendly, have friendly regulations towards the crypto companies. I think there are, in Dubai alone, I think 22 companies registered at the DMCC, probably several in Sharjah and Abu Dhabi. I think this is an amazing step. I mean, the UAE was the first country in the world to even create a blockchain strategy and to have all government transactions to be on blockchain, to become a completely paperless government. And that was years ago when I used to work for Dubai government. So we were really advanced, and people who came to visit could not believe that this is actually happening. So I think the UAE is it's a great step, really being open for innovation and to this whole new world that's coming upon us very soon. It's actually very fast how the speed it has. And the UAE always has been a fast-paced country. So I am all in favor for that.
Thank you. So we move to Dr. Sarah. Dr. Sarah, I know that you came all the way from Canada, and you might not be aware of the regulations here in the UAE and in the region. But I mean, in general, what do you think of regulating such sector?
Yeah, I think it's sort of fundamental in terms of how we think about technology generally. So for me, in all the work that we do, what we find is that whether you're talking about any form of technology or an innovation system generally, that we automatically assume that they're sort of more neutral and sort of less biased than humans, right? There's a sort of implicit assumption that tech is better than humans because we're biased. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we know that humans, people, are the ones who design code, who train algorithms, who train systems, and so ultimately, our biases, all that that we are, end up embedded in them. So I think at a fundamental level, the more sort of we can structure and give rules and regulations and guidelines and sort of guidelines really, fundamentally we can make a sort of a more equitable playing field for more people as a whole.
Thank you. Nadia, what do you think about the new regulation in the UAE?
Well, not to duplicate what the other panelists have said, but from my perspective, having worked in the space, the CSA and the new regulations that they're putting in place, having interacted, having consulted and being in project management on a blockchain-based crypto NFT project towards the end of last year, I found it incredibly easy to work within what the framework was. So to find, within the project what to do, what not to do. So for me, I think it's amazing how the regulatory authorities work with the businesses, work with the individuals and the exchanges to form a framework of governance and compliance. So it's needed. Us as an end user, or myself as an end user, we want to feel that the space is safe for us to trade, for us to take part in. And the only way that gets done is through regulation. But regulation doesn't go without being put together on the ground with the people, with individuals, with the businesses. So I think the SCA has done a fantastic job so far and will continue to do so, because the UAE and the way they innovate and the way they work together with the businesses, and they attract the businesses that way. So I am all for it.
Excellent, thank you so much. I mean, by putting my Sharjah FDI hat, I think that this regulation will bring so many startups and so many companies and crypto to this region. And I think that Mr. Hussein and this park will be one of the ones that will benefit from this by filling all of these offices here with technology companies. So going back to Dina. Dina, you are doing business between UAE, Bahrain,
Yes.
and Jordan.
Yeah.
So which regional jurisdictions do you think that have established dedicated regulatory frameworks?
From a regional perspective, we have two jurisdictions that have put in place dedicated regulatory frameworks for crypto. We have UAE and Bahrain. These two jurisdictions that have put in place dedicated frameworks aim to develop the up-and-coming industry and regulate it in a clear way. So if we talk about Bahrain, regulations exist under the Central Bank of Bahrain, which are onshore and effective on a national level. The comprehensive regulatory framework covers the operations of digital asset exchanges and many other aspects like trading crypto assets as principal or agent, portfolio management, giving investment advice, custody, which is very important, AML and cybersecurity, and many others. If we talk about UAE, offshore regulations exist under the framework of ADGM, Abu Dhabi Global Market. And it covers most of the points that are under the Central Bank of Bahrain, in addition to initial coin offering, ICOs, which is not available at the moment. We're honestly starting to see many regulators within the UAE adopting a more positive stance towards crypto, which honestly would help in the development of the industry. Recently, the DWTC, the Dubai World Trade Center, have announced the launch of a crypto zone that will regulate crypto assets and crypto asset exchanges via an agreed framework with ESCA. In addition to that, ESCA also announced the launch of a federal license which will regulate virtual assets in consultation with as well the Central Bank of UAE. I mean, other jurisdictions within the region have taken, let's say, a wait-and-see approach or have not really prioritized the development of crypto asset frameworks. But with the global and regional demand on crypto assets at the moment, and it's becoming a major asset class, we do expect a lot of frameworks to come along in the near future. If we're talking about the future, I mean, despite all the challenges that the crypto assets industry are going through right now, it's still developing rapidly. I mean, bringing in a lot of new innovations, new business models, and I believe the jurisdictions that are welcoming, supporting, and smartly regulating the industry right now will benefit significantly. I mean, if we talk about other jurisdictions, I mean, over the past few years, we could say that a couple of years ago we had no rule books, no jurisdictions that are that welcoming or have set in place proper frameworks to regulate. So this is quite amazing, I would say, for UAE and for Bahrain and for this side of the region, which only started a few years ago. I'm very optimistic about the future of crypto and how it will empower or, let's say, improve or enhance the traditional finance that we know.
Do you think that there are more countries in the region will take the same step that the UAE and other countries
Actually,
have taken?
yes. I mean, there are talks in Saudi right now and in Jordan to regulate. So I do expect to see other jurisdictions right now that will announce, let's say, this year. Hopefully, yes, new regulations, and because they will miss on the chance. To be honest, everyone is moving into crypto, and now the metaverse and other innovations that have come up recently, and NFTs, and any regulator or country that is still going against right now regulations will miss the chance. I mean, if we look at China, they recently banned crypto, while in the US regulations exist in some states like New York. If we look at the United Kingdom and Singapore, they have a unified regulatory framework under the FCA. And also with recent changes, even India and Russia have announced that they're open to crypto, and this will boost the industry because the more people that are investing and more regulators are putting out such announcements, it's first impacting the price of Bitcoin and bringing that up, and also moving businesses and funds into the space.
Thank you.
Of course.
So going back to Vera, and let's bring everyone in the room here and put them on the same page. Give us an overview about the Web3.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. And thank you for suggesting that. I think it's really important because we're all learning right now. I think it's important to understand that if you feel you don't have crypto yet, that you're not left behind. In fact, in 2021, more than 50% bought the crypto for the first time. So only last year it really became a big trend. Before that, it was just really the very, very early adopters. So don't think you are too late for crypto NFTs at all. And I think it's a great idea for us to learn together and give a quick overview. So when we talk about Web 1, Web 1 was, if you remember, probably most of you don't, but it was just, you could read. So you were just a consumer, you were reading pages, there was not much to do. Then Web 2 came and like Facebook, Google, and sites like that launched, and we, the consumers, became more products, right? You probably have seen the movie that if you don't pay, you actually, you are the product. We became the product of those companies, and a lot of Google ads came up. So that was Web 2, where it's still now. And slowly, or actually quite fast, we're moving to Web 3, and Web 3 will be about ownership, which Dina just alluded to as well. And that's the interesting part about it, because we're no longer a product, actually owners of what we produce, and that's where all the DAOs are coming out, where artists are creating the NFTs, they own it. Also, a very big difference I find from Web 2 to Web 3, and I think it's important to point it out. In Web 2, can you still, yeah. In Web 2, it was people follow you, they are your audience, right? So you probably have a lot of followers on Instagram or Facebook. They are your audience, but they don't necessarily want you to succeed. Whereas Web3, the main difference is we're creating communities. And I think for me, this is one of the main differences from Web 2 to Web 3, is that now we're creating communities. And the people who are your community in Web 3, they actually want you to succeed. It's a difference between being a fan and being a shareholder in something, because you really actually have a stake in what the person is producing, be it an artist, be it a token, whatever it is. Often when women talk, we give an example, the example of Beyonce. If you would have been an early fan of Beyonce back then, you could have been a millionaire by now if you would have had, tokens. So that's a big difference. So what I really like about Web3 as well is it's more women-friendly, to be on the topic about women in technology. If we look at the typical VC space, and it's a shocking number. I don't know if anybody wants to guess, but only 2% of VC money goes into female-funded startups. 2%, which is shocking. In the crypto NFT space, that number is, or the women involved, is 19%. And that's great to see, because women used to use an avatar in the beginning, so you couldn't tell is it a man or a woman. But now it has changed, and we are speaking up as women there. We want to support female artists. Like my very first NFT that I bought was from the first female Arab NFT artist. I wanted to support, first of all, an Arab, second an NFT artist, but most importantly, a woman. So that's what the space allows us. And it's wonderful to see a room full of women. I think it's 90% women here, and it's really great. Obviously, it's a women in technology event, but still, I feel like we are in the right place, and this can really be our time, the whole NFT and crypto space. So I'm really excited about that, as you can tell.
Thank you so much. So we go back to Dr. Sarah. Doctor, what do you think that people should be, or women should be cautious about when dealing with cryptocurrencies and the metaverse and the NFTs?
Yeah, I think there's sort of like three big areas that I think we all need to really be intentional about as this industry, these technologies continue to evolve. So the first is definitely that we need to be really intentional with the design, right, from a functional, technical standpoint. So both in cryptocurrency and blockchain. So that means we need a diversity of people at any given table in the literal technical design of these things, right? We still know that there's a disproportionate number of men and people with other sort of dominant aspects of their identity who are, focused in the STEM sector, right? So, of course, we need to continue to increase representation of women, racialized folks, and those sort of beyond, the usual suspects in these spaces. The other big thing is certainly around the environmental sustainability piece of it, right? We know that $1 of Bitcoin costs about 49 cents of sort of, climate and other sort of disparaging sort of impact within at least the US context, right? So countries that are reliant on fossil fuels, right, they need to be really intentional with how they actually determine, the process around this, right? And I hope regulation will help on that side of things too. And I think the other big sort of chunky piece of this is that these sit at the intersection of traditional financial literacy as well as technological literacy, right? So the barriers to entry are still really steep for folks, right? It very much feels like a veritable black box for folks who aren't part of either the, the traditional financial conversation or the sort of the conversation relating to tech. So we need to work on just foundational sort of education across the board.
So we go back to Nadia. And Nadia, what do you think that women are looking around all this cryptocurrency and technology?
Thank you so much. So I can only speak to my context of my experience, right? And my experience started only in May last year. I remember because it was my birthday. And there was an exchange doing a beta launch in the region. It was called Faucet, or it's called Faucet. And they invited a group of people to register. And I really wanted to get involved in this space because as an investor, I am starting to I review businesses in the space, and I need to upskill myself in order to understand the businesses, because the type of wealth distribution that crypto and blockchain-based businesses create, especially, well, not especially, but in Africa, across Middle East and Africa, which is where I focus, is exponential. And for me, I believe it is going to fundamentally change the face of the continent that I work on. So that was May last year. And since then, I've been teaching, trying, and I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I have to do to learn. I lost, but I suppose you say win or learn. Win some.
How much did you lose?
I still am convinced I was hacked, but it's probably not possible. But no, $1,000, which for me, I thought, wow, I could have done a lot more with that. But that's how I've learned slowly. And it's a bit of a patchwork. I worked on a blockchain-based project, idea to IDO. And as an investor, I think it's important that we do upskill ourselves. But Vera was speaking to communities, and that's very, very important. It's the shift to communities. And I sit on the board for Women in Tech, and we are, one of the strategies for this year is to cultivate or bring out that very blockchain crypto-based community, because we get a lot of inquiries from our community, the Women in Tech community, about the space. So we are putting together a task force, internal task force, to create a department within Women in Tech to work with those interested in the crypto space. And there's been an overwhelming response to that. Our Malaysian chapter actually just launched their NFTs for the launch of their chapter. And I focus on the expansion for Women in Tech as well. And every country that we go into, they want to start talking about the circular economy, Web3, blockchain, crypto. And so it's really exciting to see women in the space. And I also working in the space with female founders, I see the struggle that they go through in terms of fundraising, right? And that's why I got into this. That's why we created Seed South Capital, is to focus on upping the finance to female and to females, and in South Africa, Black founders. So for me, I think it's so important that women do start taking it upon themselves to get interested in the space, because it's new to everybody. And we're going to take somewhat 200 years to bridge the gender gap. I think that's the stat. But with Web3, we don't need to bridge it. We can just leap it. If we upskill ourselves in the space, and start learning to code on the protocols, trade, we don't need to bridge a gap. We will just fill it. So for me, that is so important, that message to women, to just try, get out there, get interested, and join communities that really speak to you in the crypto space.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm sure that a lot of the ladies here in the audience are now excited for fundraising through cryptocurrencies. And I'm sure that so many of them are also waiting for the chance to ask some questions about how to fundraise maybe through cryptocurrencies. So we will take 2 to 3 questions before we close this session. Any questions for the panelists here? Please.
microphone.
Are there mics here?
Thank you, ladies and gents, for the great discussion. My name is Doris Martin, the ambassador of Women in Tech chapter Bahrain, and also Businesswomen Society member and member of AmCham, KSA, and Bahrain. My question is, I think for Dina, basically, do we go in Bahrain? Do we go through central bank, the sandwich box, to do the whole system or not, with the cryptocurrency? Or you don't know anything about the regulations in Bahrain? Because you said you work between Bahrain and UAE. So in terms of cryptocurrency, what is the process? Does it go through the sandwich box or no for the assessments?
We honestly didn't go through the sandbox, given the experience we had running a previous exchange in the region. Okay. I was one of the founding team of the first crypto exchange in the Middle East back in 2015. And given the experience we have establishing a crypto exchange, we did not have to go through the sandbox in Bahrain and went straight to the license. Okay. Obviously, there's a rule book. We went through a rule book, I think, number 6, and in category 3. We got licensed within about a year and a half. And it actually got just a bit delayed because of the pandemic, where we had lockdowns at the time. But we've been quite blessed having obtained such license.
So the duration period is, you would say, about 1 year or less?
I mean, it depends on the application and whether it has all the information, right, processes and policies in place. But I would advise, if anyone is trying to do that, get a kick-ass head of compliance.
Yes. Thank you very much for the clarification. Thank you.
No, of course.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, thank you, ladies. Thank you for this amazing panel. I've definitely learned a lot. My name is Manahil Alvi. I'm the founder of Technosis Media and currently involved in raising funds through NFTs. I'm working on a project called Oceans and Us, where we're building boats that goes around the world collecting ocean waste. It's completely autonomous, and we're collaborating with the Abu Dhabi Marine Corporation to do that. My question is, what do you think are the processes where an NFT goes from a JPEG to a community-driven tokenized utility? Because I think that is the fine line that separates two opposing views in the NFT world, where do you draw the line between, oh, I own something and it's just there because I just own it, and adding utility to it, which is what we're trying to work towards. And I would like Vera to give me her opinion on that.
Me? I mean, I wish I had the answer. It's a very technical question. Basically, your question was how to make an NFT a utility NFT.
That is right. How to? I mean, what are some ideas, and what are your thoughts on, especially, what are your thoughts going into the future? How do you think NFTs are going to go, just from a collectible JPEG to something that is?
I think you're really hitting the point. Them to be a utility is the most important. I think if it's just a picture, you can't really use it much. But a utility, why the Bored Apes, right, became such an expensive NFT. I mean, I think they go for over $1 million now for one NFT. It's just insane because of the utility to it. It's an exclusive membership as well. With that, if you own one, you're part of an exclusive club. You get access to their events. So there are other utilities where you can get discounts for certain brands, right? For example, tomorrow I'm speaking at an NFT event for, maybe I shouldn't say it, but for Glenfiddich. It's a whiskey brand. And I'm not involved in that, but I'm speaking on the NFT event because everybody, all big brands are trying now to build NFTs with a utility to. And I love what you do, if I understood it correctly. It's very difficult to hear, but I think you're doing ocean cleaning, right?
Yes, that's right.
In fact, I mean, do speak to me offline if you like. I have friends of mine launched a crypto company that creates tokens exactly for that, for social projects. And they recently launched a token for an ocean cleaning company in Costa Rica. So I'm happy to put you in touch, because that's exactly what they do, is to really have social tokens to support founders, you know, like yourself, to make it really a wider known case as well. But I do think, utilities is the way to go. Otherwise, it's just a nice picture, but what's really behind it?
Thank you very much.
And can I also make a shout out, and I'm on stage, I want to make a shout out to Female Angels 22. That's why I'm wearing this t-shirt. And there are so many in here. Thank you. Sophie, who spoke on the panel before, she started the movement. Some of us, like Nadia, myself, and other women who you see wearing those t-shirts are part of the movement. And women often think it's so difficult to become an investor. Actually, it's not. Start with even $500 or 1,000 or 5,000. You can support, for example, ocean cleaning startups or anything you really believe in, you value, passion align. So we started this movement called Angels 2022. But the aim is to create 2,022 female angel investors by the end of this year. So if you're interested, please speak to us. We'd like to sign you up. We'll have a first workshop, I think, in April about how to actually do that. And we'd love to create more female angel investors and really break this bias that it's only men who invest. We want women to speak more about investments. To later on also, I'd love for women to get more into the whole crypto and NFT space. So please consider becoming a female angel investor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have time for two more questions, so we'll take the lady here and then maybe one last question.
Hi, thank you. I'm Anu Bharadwaj, founder of Sheconomy. We're an NFT platform for women. We are currently based in the US, looking to come into the region, backed by the Islamic Bank right now through a COVID Innovation Grant. I have been doing some research on regulated entities as well as places to set up. We've heard about Bahrain, we've heard about the UAE. Are there any specific, like Dubai has a crypto?
An ADGM.
Correct.
That's Abu Dhabi.
So
Dubai is DMCC, right? In Dubai, it's DMCC.
Yeah.
So do you foresee something like that starting up in Sharjah? Is that something that's in the works right now, or is it mostly Dubai and Abu Dhabi that's taking the lead?
I think once, so now from a moderator, I became one of the panelists, actually. It's fine. But I think Sharjah Research and Technology Park announced something, a package regarding crypto licensing a few months ago. I think with the regulation coming by the end of first quarter in 2022, we might see more and more licensing coming, maybe through Sharjah Economic Development Department and also through different free zones in the Emirate of Sharjah. Thank you. So one last question.
Hi all, my name is Jimmy Dowdu. I'm the CEO founder of Vault Hill, where we're building a human-centric metaverse, touching the human instincts like vitality, curiosity, play and idealism, and all of that good stuff. We've gone through a fundraising round slowly on crypto and raised about $2.6 million last year. And I, for one, experienced the challenges of raising funds in cryptocurrencies. Launch pads, exchanges and all of that. So I think my question is, with the prevailing problems and challenges in the cryptocurrency funding space, what are you guys doing to aid female entrepreneurs? Because all of the launch pads that we used about 7, people use 1 or 2, we used about 7, so it was quite hectic for my team and I. And with those launch pads, they have a group of founders and CEOs of projects, and none of them are female. How do we bridge that gap? A lot of females feel like they have to be technology savvy, be able to code, but you don't have to do that. My leadership team have 2 females in it as well. But question to anyone on the panel is, what is that divide? How are you bridging that divide for fundraising in the crypto space for female entrepreneurs? And what kind of support is available for them? Thank you.
I mean,
like I mentioned before, you know, in the normal VC space, it's only 2% that goes to female founders, which is really actually embarrassing. In the crypto space, it's a bit more. Way more money is being invested in the crypto space. 30 billion US dollars were invested in crypto in 2021. 30 billion, I think it's 4 times more than in all the previous years together. So a lot of money is going into crypto, and Andreessen Horowitz launched its own 2.2 billion crypto fund last year. So it's a lot of money is going into the crypto space. I mean, it's a very valid question. How do female founders in general get more funding? And I think what I advocate for a lot is we need to have more female investors, because you usually invest into what you relate to, right? So, you know, an older man invests into a younger man because he feels, oh, this is how I was a few years ago. So I think the more women we have on the investor side, the more money will go into female-funded startups, for sure. And that's also going back to female angel investors. Like, we need more female angel investors, more women in VC, more women in PE. In general, more women in that space. It's a very male space still. However, I must say also, there are many male champions, and surely men who are here right now, thank you for being here. There are champions, you know, that really support women. But, you know, in general, we need more women in that space, and I think conferences like that, so thank you, Ayumi, you know, for organizing conferences like this, because the more women come into the tech field, the more they feel comfortable and seeing other women around, the more money will go into that space.
I'd add just one more point to
Please.
that. First, congrats on the round that you have raised. When you're raising, there are 2 main KPIs that investors look at, right? To us, it's verified customers and trading volumes. This will help you massively get those investors that you want on board in terms, because money is not important. Money can come from any investor. But when you're investing, there are a couple of things to consider. Connections, and how can those investors that you're partnering with help you achieve your goals and grow within your community and get those retail or institutional investors depending on your strategy within your company. So I'd say the main factors that would help you lock in investors are trading volumes and the month-on-month growth and verified customers and overall traffic to your platform. There are obviously a lot of ways where I can discuss that offline with you, but yeah, I think those are the main factors.
And maybe also to just quickly add, I mean, obviously it has to be a viable business model, like Dina said, but also really important is your network. Who do you know? Because a lot of those deals are being done, you know, while you play tennis or while you are, you know, talking to somebody. That's why in-person events are so important. So it's really, it's the network, it's the people, it's who do you build. That's why building connections is so important. And you don't go to investors when you need the money. You start building the relationship way before.
Yeah.
Right, so that's important.
Yeah, money can come from any investor, from literally any investor can come in with their money. But you need the right people on board because you're first linking your name to those investors. So if they don't have the right connections to help you grow the business, and in terms of an exchange, if we're talking about exchange, most important thing is setting up bank accounts. So if you don't have the right people to help you establish those relationships and set up those bank accounts and expand in jurisdictions and in product, I mean, then I mean, you can just get the money from anywhere else, and it wouldn't really help you achieve your goals, let's say.
Thank you so much. So ending perfectly on time, I would like to thank everyone for your valuable inputs. I would like also to thank SRTIP for organizing this amazing Women in Tech event, and finally with the UAE creating a favorable environment for this sector. I look forward to the opening of more opportunities for women in the cryptocurrency businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mohammed Msharrach, and CEO of Sharjah FDI, and all the panelists. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much.
It was extremely enlightening for many of us who has known very little about the world of cryptocurrency. And to connect this panel to the next, may I welcome the moderator, Roberto Croci, Managing Director for Microsoft for Startups, Middle East, Africa. And the topic of discussion will be Metaverse, the good, the bad, and the future. And Roberto, you'll be introducing your panelists to the stage. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Please join me in a round of applause. Thank you.
Will I stay here or here? Here, right? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Roberto. I'm Managing Director for Microsoft for Startups across Middle East and Africa. And without any further ado, first of all, thank you STRP for inviting me to moderate this great panel. We have an amazing panel, so without any further ado, I would love to invite all our panelists on the stage. So I will start asking Amy Peck to come on stage. So, and maybe when you come on stage, if you can give a short introduction of yourself, what you're doing. I mean, while you're coming, also allow me to share and wish a happy International Women's Day to all of you in the room. It's great to see the room that crowded and packed. Yeah, you just need to.
If I may interject, ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate that you would keep your volume of conversation low so you can hear all the panelists and the conversations. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. Amy, over to you, a short introduction about yourself, who you are, what excites you about the metaverse, what you're doing these days.
Yes, well, I'm very, very excited to be here. So my name is Amy Peck. I have a company called Endeavor XR, and we work with some of the largest companies in the world on, strategy for immersive technology before it was called the metaverse. And the technology, I mean, you've all probably heard about the metaverse recently, but really the way that I like to think about this technology is that it's transformative for, education and training and for really anything that we want to do in our lives. And so I don't even like to be limited by just the metaverse. I think I like to think of it as just the digital landscape and data.
Amazing. We discussed before the panel about how certain things get renamed and they acquire a new dimension where it gets appealing for people, right? So we will talk about it in a second. Following clockwise the other panelists, I will invite Valerie. Valerie, if you can join us on the stage and take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself. Thank you. Tell us a bit more about yourself, what you do, your experience, and what you're doing in the metaverse or in the real verse.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes. So I am Valérie Rollet. I have a tech background because I am an engineer. I came in the Middle East in 2006. I was an entrepreneur in sustainability and then also went to innovation with the HEC Business School. And came back to the Middle East to also do some innovation at Daman. And recently, I am the head of the Center of Excellence for Artificial Intelligence of Sorbonne University in Abu Dhabi. So very much tech subject. And I'm also an investor in and a general partner in a fund that is investing into blockchain. And one of our companies is called the Sandbox that you might have heard of. It's one of the largest metaverse. We're going to talk about it a bit later now. And it's a very exciting topic and exciting time we are in. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie. Next one, I will invite on the stage Jamilia. She is the founder and CEO of ByteBoo. Hello. Round of applause for Jamilia, meanwhile she's coming on stage. And Jamilia, tell us a little bit more about your background, what you're up to these days in the metaverse or in the real verse, and a little bit more about you.
Sure, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here today. So I get the pleasure of being a Web3 attorney, which means I get to advise clients on all of their interesting projects, from NFTs to DAOs to crypto platforms. There's a lot of new innovation happening in the space, as you all know, and a lot of things that are coming down the pipe that really push the boundaries of the laws and regulations. So my role is to help them balance innovation and compliance, and it has been quite exciting. That's one hat I wear. The second hat I wear as founder and CEO of ByteBow is building a platform which will actually help Web3 companies connect with legal talent. You'll be able to find, hire, and pay for your legal talent in crypto on this platform. So I'm so excited to be here to talk about the intersection of all of these things in Web3.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amelia. Last but not least, we have Amrita Sethi coming on board. And a round of applause, please. Amrita is a digital artist, so the expectation here is to go back home with an NFT from you, Amrita, somehow. You will explain us how, but looking forward to hear a little bit from you, your story, a little bit too, as an introduction for yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amrita Sethi, and I'm the first NFT artist in Dubai, even the UAE, basically even Sharjah, and the creator of my own art genre, which I call sound bites, where I combine sound, NFTs, technology, and storytelling in a very kind of unique way. And that's why, for me, something like NFTs were perfectly kind of made for me, because it allowed to be like a very dynamic story to be told through art. And I think this is also the main, one of the advantages of NFTs is that it has unlocked a kind of creativity that we've never really seen before. So what I like to do is I like to use technology as a tool brush. And, I play a lot with merging the physical with the digital through things like augmented reality, virtual reality, and that constant interplay between the two. So like a very quick example is, I painted I think it's when chat with the Guinness World Book of Records, I think it's the world's largest augmented reality mural, which is at the DIFC. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amrita. Due to logistics reasons, we cannot have more than 4 people on the stage, but we also have another special guest in the room. Her name is Maria. She's a colleague from Microsoft visiting from the US, and she works in the HoloLens team. So probably we will involve her somehow during the conversation. My background has been in tech. So I've been working in companies like Google, Microsoft now, and I feel that my job has been kind of demystifying technology every now and then, or most of the times. And I thought I was already done, right? So I was demystifying this digital transformation thing, and I thought it was it. And now it became this thing about metaverse, right? So what is this metaverse? We were joking before the panel saying that we ask 10 people, and we might get asking, what is your definition, or what do you think metaverse is? And we might get 22.3, I don't know how the math is done there, but 22.3 different answers, right? So let's try to either demystify or share with the audience, what do you think, what is metaverse for you? I will follow the same order, so it's just for Amy, starting from you.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that there are multiple, kind of definitions of what the metaverse is. I think in sort of classic terms, the metaverse, as Neil Stephenson wrote in his book, Snow Crash, it's a virtual environment in which we live as we do in the real world. But I think, in this age of technology, and really, I think all of us represent the confluence of not just digital realms, but also AI, also blockchain. And that confluence of technologies is going to give us a digital landscape. And I would really define it into even AR and the AR cloud. And what the AR cloud is essentially invisible, data layers everywhere. So everything you're doing on your mobile device right now will just be projected in your field of view in the near future.
Amazing, thank you. Valerie, what's metaverse for you?
Is that, yeah, it's okay. Amy defined it very well. What I would just add is that it's a different identity that we have in the real world. It has also a very social dimension because you play with friends, you are able to be transported into a virtual world without any friction. If you live in Dubai or you live in San Francisco, you can meet in the metaverse. So it has this social aspect. I think what it needs to be, and perhaps we talk about it later, it's also a decentralized land. That's very important as well for the survival of the concept, I suppose. And it's underlined by an economy often, and also of a set of rules. And there is a body that is in charge, that is the guardian of this set of rules, so that everything can happen frictionless. So.
Thank you, Jamilia. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think the best way to really define the metaverse is to think about all of the different applications and how it can impact your life. From a consumer perspective, you can think about how do you buy things? What sort of transactions do you have on a day-to-day basis? And can you do those in the metaverse? Can you meet up with your friends in the metaverse? Can you purchase makeup from Sephora in the metaverse? Right? I remember when COVID hit, one of the things that really was frustration for me is that I wasn't able to try on the makeup in Sephora because everything was closed off. But what if you could go into the metaverse and try everything on, try on all the makeup? And so there's so many different applications, and I think we have yet to really see the full applications of the metaverse at this time. It's exciting.
Thank you, Jamilia. Amrita?
Well, I think the metaverse is literally just a burst of creativity. It's literally like an empty canvas. And it's the opportunity for you to completely shatter any kind of old ideas that you have of the old paradigm and then just create whatever you want. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Just to kind of give you an idea, just even about what's happening this week, which is like a bit of a sneak peek because I've not had a chance to even tell anyone about it, so you guys will be the first one to hear about it. But like this week I've decided, because you can, to just invent my own alphabet, right? So I've just decided to take the alphabet, take my sound bites, and I've actually created the alpha bites. And so the first word that I'm actually creating is the word meta-reversed. Because it's going to, for those of you who know, there's Art Dubai happening this week. So there's going to be an NFT section in Art Dubai, which is also showing how art is really coming, NFTs are coming into the mainstream. And in this exhibition, you expect to go to an NFTs and see screens. But this way, I'm actually going to take, and because normally you're taking the physical to the digital. That's what metaverse is. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the digital back to the physical, make the word meta-reversed, make it into a sculpture, but I'm going to then apply back to the digital. You're going to have augmented reality to decode the word back into English, as well as, having to be able to buy the sculpture, you have to buy the NFT, which will literally give you a physical slice of the sculpture. And all of this is just because you can, right? Because that's what metaverse and the meta-reverse does. And so if that's not good enough, well, now I'm in Sharjah and I can't go to Dubai, well, just go to my land in Decentraland. It's next to Frankie's Tavern, for those who know. It's like -66, -113 coordinates in Decentraland. And you'll be able to see my floating physical sculpture in Decentraland, and you'll be able to go straight into the metaverse, go and buy one of these NFTs, which will give you the physical slice of it. So it's this immediate interplay between the digital and the physical. And if that's not enough, when you go in your avatar, you can wear my hoodie, which has got the meta reversed on it. So that's what, for me, the metaverse does. It just explodes the creativity.
Thank you. As promised, we got probably not 4 point something, but 4 different answers, but 4 valid answers on what the metaverse is. So starting again from you, Amrita, and coming back then, I loved how you shaped it and inspired us, thinking the metaverse as a blank canvas, right? We start from there, and this back and forth from digital, physical, digital, and this cross of disciplines, art, technology. What is that excites you most about the metaverse then?
Yeah, so I mean, as I just said, like this is just for me, this is just like the start. This is just a way to activate my already cool idea, right? But for me, I think that's, you know, it's not about, for me, it's the exploring all of the different metaverses that's going to come up, right? For me, metaverses almost are becoming like different websites, right? But like, for example, I'll give a shout out to Jimmy Dowdo in the audience who asked the question the last time. I mean, his metaverse he's creating is one called Vault Hill. And seriously, the graphics in that is just unbelievable. The things that we're able to do in that are unbelievable. And so it's also, you know, seeking out what some of the different platforms are doing, because as an artist, I want to remain independent. I want to go into Decentraland, but I also want to go and play around and create a crazy exhibition with Jimmy in Vault Hill, or I want to go to Crypto Voxels and do something like that. And I think it's also about the variety of the metaverses.
Amazing, thank you. Jamilia, what excites you most about this metaverse?
I've got two mics now. You know, I think the metaverse is a chance to expand opportunity to those that didn't traditionally have access to opportunity. You know, with the invention and with the progression of DAOs, the decentralized autonomous organizations, we're much more capable of pooling resources, whether it's talent, skills, or capital across the world. And when you're able to have access to those things, when traditionally you didn't, you're able to create and build. You're able to disrupt industries. It doesn't matter what industry. It could be the art industry. It could be the legal industry. It could be food and beverage or hospitality. But the metaverse kind of resets everything. It gives us a chance to build and to have opportunity for those who didn't previously have it. And I think that's what's really exciting about it. We're able to look at data. I think the health data on femtech was astounding. Well, what if we took that data and we applied it to what we could build in the metaverse, right? We start with platforms, but then we take it a step further into the digital world. That's what I think the metaverse is about.
Amazing, thank you. Valerie, what excites you?
Yeah, I think I will agree with Jamela. And I think what excites me in the metaverse and also in the blockchain technology is the philosophical aspect of it, because I think it's a technology with value. I mean, I work in AI, and AI is very dry. I mean, AI can do absolutely great things, but it's very, very dry, where I think blockchain and the metaverse is one illustration of it, but has the potential of disrupt some of the societal models that we can see around. This concept of not a central authority, but a decentralized world, the concept of ownership by the community, where the community own assets rather than central bodies that control and give access and so on. I think that's very, very exciting, and it will give some opportunities and possibilities that are very very exciting. I can just give you an example. I mean, we have just invested into a company that is doing an internet of mobility. So in fact, you will be able to have your door-to-door journey, because the platform is integrating many mobility providers all around the world, and it will be on the blockchain, because that will enable people or DAOs to access mobility provider everywhere in the world, and the DAOs will be incentivized to put the mobility providers in the platform, and therefore completely develop the whole network of mobility providers. So you will be sitting in Miami, and you will know that there is a scooter waiting for you in the north of Finland. So there are exciting things that will happen thanks to this technology, and I think the metaverse is also an illustration of that. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. Amy.
I mean, I think two things I'm very excited about. One is value, and the other is identity. And the way they're sort of interlinked is that we get to have a projection of ourselves in this digital landscape. And we can look at value in different ways. I mean, some of the things that Amrita is doing around art and NFT, and it's so pure, and it's this endless opportunity for us to explore and augment humanity. And so in the identity piece, aside from being able to have a verifiable identity because it lives on the blockchain, if we are all willing to do the work to kind of take control of our data back, there can be an incredible exchange of value for data that we control. And it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary or in crypto. For example, a brand, instead of spending millions of dollars every year trying to harvest data from sources that shall remain nameless for the purposes of this panel, because we do have a lawyer on board. But instead of spending those millions and harvesting that data and then putting out content that makes us feel somehow lesser if we don't own something or have something, but instead ask us very nicely in the form of querying a database, which is something that blockchain can help us do, and AI can help us do. And then offering us value for that data. That is a whole new realm. And even looking at the value of an object based on who that person is, right? If I'm going to, sell you something, the fact that you are an amazing human being may change my mind about how much I want to sell that to you. Maybe I just want you to have it because you are elevating the planet in some way. And so, we're limited only by our imaginations in this digital landscape. So to me, that's an exciting opportunity for us to kind of rethink how we do everything.
Amazing, thank you. I mean, it's inspiring, right? So you're all looking at metaverse from different angles on a great opportunity, right? So to tap into. And maybe before I get into the next question, I also wanted to, I don't know if Maria is still in the room. Is Maria here? Oh, she's there, Maria. I wanted to ask you if you can get a mic. I wanted to ask you as well, before we jump on the red flags that we might see coming with the metaverse, but you're working on a very, very cool project, right? The HoloLens. So how you see it, how you see the metaverse from that angle, and what is the excitement for you? What do you see the possibilities coming out of such a piece of technology like the HoloLens that could open up for more development as a platform, right?
Yes, so we definitely need the technology to enable the metaverse. So I am part of the HoloLens team, and for us it's a very exciting time. At Microsoft, at Microsoft, as you know, we acquired Activision Blizzard for $70 billion cash transaction. It's very interesting that during 15-minute investor meeting, the word metaverse was named 10 times. 10 times. So Microsoft is definitely very committed to building the metaverse. On the software side, we have Mesh for the metaverse, also Teams that will enable Mesh, which is an immersive 3D environment where people can come together, collaborate, make decisions, etc. And then, of course, from the hardware side, we need a device that will enable us to feel, immerse, and share all of these art or applications together. Now, Microsoft is more 100% involved currently in enterprise, but then there are other companies such as Facebook, which is now Meta, not to make it more confusing, but they are more into the consumer side. So, we are friends, it's okay. But definitely both Meta and Microsoft are very committed into building this. So very exciting times, especially on the hardware and looking at the requirements to make it lighter, reducing the form factor, longer battery lifetime, improving on the optics, etc. So very exciting.
Thank you so much, Maria. Great to hear, always great to hear the perspective from a technology provider like Microsoft, right? So this is great. We talked about the excitement with the metaverse, but some of you already touched base on a few things like here and there, like unconscious bias here and there, this thing of metaverse and realverse, this thing about the concept of, okay, it's already enough in the real world. What is about the mental health sort of things, if we add another dimension, this metaverse, how it's going to look like. And there is always this ethical dimension. Whenever you mentioned artificial intelligence before, the metaverse, so there is an ethical dimension when we introduce these new possibilities, these new technologies, the use we make of it, right? So what are some of the red flags that you see, or some of the biggest red flags that you see coming with the metaverse? Maybe starting from you, Amy, and now going this side.
Yeah, I think we have to be very concerned about data privacy. When I said we have to do the work to take our control of our data back, there are many companies out there kind of working on what that interface will look like, and we need to make it simple enough that we can do it, but we have to decide that we want to take our data back. So that's one piece of it. We can become digital lab rats because the level of sensors that are in these devices, we have eye tracking, so you can actually detect, it's almost health, it is health data to a degree when you're actually tracking someone's pupils. So there's a lot of data that's going out there. So I think that's one of the things we need to do is work very hard to make sure that, we are managing our own data. And then, we also have to be aware that this is all nascent technology. It's all moving very, very quickly. And why I love that this panel is up here is that we need to not be working in just silos. So AI companies and blockchain companies and even immersive technology. We need to now start, and we're in an innovation center that understands that. They've done a really great job of blending all of the specialties because the solutions of the future will contain a component of blockchain, will contain a component of AI and machine learning, and you will access them using AR or VR mechanisms. So I think we need to have a much more holistic view about emerging technology moving forward.
Amazing. Valerie, what, from your point of view, some of the red flags that you see?
Well, I think I agree. Data privacy and confidentiality and all that is a big topic. But if we go back specifically on the metaverse, I think one thing that needs to be, it's interoperability. I think we see many metaverses being built. So few of them will probably disappear because we all know that it's also a big hype at the moment. So I think because it has so much possibilities, so many possibilities and opportunities, I think the fact that it's a fully decentralized system, that it's interoperable, then I think that's something that really need to be looked after. Otherwise, the future will not be so rosy.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. And Jamilia, back to you as well. Some of these red flags and also how this could prevent the adoption of the metaverse, in your opinion.
Sure. Well, coming from putting the lawyer hat on, I think one thing that I'm also very interested to see progress is the protection of consumers in the space. There was a recent NFT case where you all probably have heard of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Bored Ape Space Club. There are a few variations, but there was a platform that essentially allowed a sale of an NFT at a price that was much lower than it should have been sold at. And the difference is hundreds of thousands of dollars. From a consumer perspective, this is obviously unacceptable. If you can imagine going to your bank and putting your ATM into the machine and then saying, oh, sorry, we gave your money to someone else. Right, it wouldn't be acceptable. So cybersecurity standards have to be improved, data privacy standards have to be improved, and I think just generally we go back to the discussion of ethics. everybody that's in the space has the responsibility to create and build in a way that's not just for the short term. It's not just to get money in the short term. It's a way for long-term progression of us all as a society. So I think there's still a bit of development that can happen in that space. And as we move along, we'll see improvements. We'll see innovators come out with new ideas about how to enhance cybersecurity, how to improve user interface, and how to just protect us more in the space.
Thank you, Jamilia. So data privacy, safety, security, Amrita, any other reflex, or how these reflex map to the other dimension of metaverse, which is more the creativity and the art that comes with this canvas that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think the first kind of, I would say red flag, but maybe I think one of the issues, or I think is with the metaverse, is I actually want to ask the audience, how many people have actually been into the metaverse? Like actually gone into like Decentraland or Vault Hill or Crypto Voxels or, yeah, exactly. So that's, I would say, the first issue, is that we have a lot of people, we are talking about the metaverse left, right, and center. But every time I go into the metaverse, like I'm next to Frankie's Tavern, and they're like, yeah, you can see they don't understand what I'm talking about. So I would say, and the reason why is because for you to get to the metaverse, you need to have opened a wallet. So how many people have a MetaMask wallet or some sort of crypto wallet? Okay, fine, so a little bit more, right? So the best way to just describe it for me is like the difference between Web 2 is username and password to get into everything. Web 3 is connect to wallet. That might mean nothing to you today, but you'll remember what I've just said, like when you're all connecting to wallets in the future, you'll be like, oh, that's what Amrita said. So first of all, can we all just learn to connect to wallet? Just go to MetaMask tonight before you go to sleep. It takes 2 minutes. Open up a MetaMask. Even then go to Decentraland, type in decentraland.org, connect to your wallet. You don't even need to have any money in your wallet, and then you can jump into the metaverse. You don't need VR glasses. This is also it. You don't need VR glasses, you can jump in. And then if you say, well, how immersive is that? The best way to describe it is you're on a website. The difference is when you go to a website, you don't know who else is on that website. The only difference is the metaverse is you know who's on that website because you can see them because they're sitting there or standing right there. And the only difference is they're standing right there, but they might have a robot as a head or like, you know, a unicorn tail or something like that. And that's basically what the metaverse is. So I think the first thing is just getting people to understand the basics of it, experience it, learn by doing. And then I'd say secondly, to talk about, I think personally, some of the sort of red flags that potentially could exist later on is less to do with the actual metaverse, is how we go in and experience it. So it's actually with VR. And so from an XR perspective, it's, I'm a big person, I believe in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and I believe that your mind, it doesn't know the difference between what is virtual and what is real. In fact, your mind doesn't even know the difference, even if you're just imagining it or you don't. So like a classic example is, you know, you close your eyes, you imagine taking a bite out of a lemon, and we're all probably, you don't even realize this, but all of our bodies are reacting just from listening to that, right? So imagine you're now in a VR situation where it is so real. There's no difference really between that. And that can be very much used for good, but it can also be very much used for bad. And I think that's what I would say. But I think that, you know, in the good sense, it's amazing for things like deep meditation, learning to actually heal your body. You could, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in places where, like Switzerland, where you can just by watching yourself do a push-up in VR, you could actually get muscles just from doing that, and you're not even exercising. And that stuff is real, right? Yeah. So it's one of the wonders, but then it can also be used for bad.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation, right? Every time we talk about sort of a platform or technology, as you said, it's a canvas, right? It's early stage, nascent. It's fascinating because you can still shape it and you can see a lot of scenarios that could happen, right? So then to this point, starting from you, Amrita, and again coming this side, is how can we make sure that key relevant stakeholders, allow me to say, they can metaverse proof themselves before this technology becomes publicly available, right? So you already mentioned something like we need to start from the basics, some education or getting your hands dirty and trying and test, experiment. What else?
I mean, I think it's also just, learning by doing, right? So again, how many people understand really, like, okay, how many people own an NFT? Again, let's just have a bit of a raise of hands. How many people think, well, what's the point of owning an NFT? Just do it. Like, yeah, I do exactly, like, what's the point? Now, again, yeah, good. I like it double. In that case, open a MetaMask wallet, and I will find a way to drop you a free NFT, because only when you actually own something in your wallet do you understand that that's what it means. I own that. Like, yes, somebody else is taking a picture of it, but I own it. And again, this is also then looking at things like going into fashion. Again, if you've gone into, and I think there's also good and bad, but like, again, if you've got an avatar and you're having to deal with the, like, I'm sorry, but the crappy clothing that's in the metaverse thing, you're now going to start looking for cool clothing and think about how am I going to, and you're not going to understand any of this unless you do it. Like, it's just hearsay if I'm saying it. But then it's sort of a bit like, oh my God, I look a bit sad in those pathetic pants that whatever has made. So you start to look out for things. And I think where it can get very dangerous, and I mean, I don't have kids, but all of my friends have young kids. But the most intelligent NFT conversation you're going to have is between a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old. And they get it. And they are willing to spend that cash. So you got to watch out for your credit card.
Yeah, new generations, I guess it will be easier to get them on board, right? So, Jamilia, over to you. What are your thoughts on having more stakeholders involved into this and metaverse proofing themselves, if you can say so?
That's okay. Thank you. I think, the comment, Amy, that you made previously about there having to be a collective group to really contribute to this, and it's across skill sets. So it's not just designers, it's not just coders, it is lawyers, it is people who are the regulators. I mean, we haven't even talked about that, but, when we talk about things that are acceptable in society and whether or not those things are acceptable in the metaverse, there has to be a lot of education that's involved, and we need to educate society, even starting with, as you mentioned, you asked this group, how many of you have digital wallets? And so there's some sort of blocker into adaptation, and what is that, and is it education? So I think, really some of the stakeholders would be even those that are helping to educate as well. That space can be improved for sure.
Amazing, thank you. Valerie.
Yes, I think, I think it's a nascent space, so it will evolve. I'm not sure that we know exactly how it's going to evolve, even if we have very different perspective. I think there are different, there will be more surprises and more different paths with the metaverse. So I think it's quite difficult to metaverse proof yourself. Yeah, I mean, it need to be seen. I think at the moment it's very, there is a hype, definitely. Will it be only one metaverse? Some people are saying a metaverse, it's a meta universe, so it has to be just one of them. We see that many companies are building many, so I don't know. I think watch the space, I think get involved. That's important. Amrita has talked about adoption, so get involved, try it, and we'll see how it develops.
Awesome. Amy, to you, if you have any further advice.
Well, I think, the metaverse did not just drop from the sky just because Facebook changed their name. The metaverse has existed in, one form or another for many years. And, to kind of paraphrase, an expression that's already out there, the metaverse is a journey, it's not a destination. So it's going to evolve. I wouldn't say you have to rush in. I would say educate yourself. I do think it's a good idea. Get yourself a wallet, try Decentraland, see, maybe buy a piece of property. You don't have to buy Snoop Dogg's. That was $500,000. That's expensive. And do you really want to live next door to him? I don't know. He's loud. But he's super funny. So you just have to make, that's a choice. But no, I think it's just, what do you care about? I mean, is it interesting to you? And do a little bit of exploring. And from a company perspective, when we work with clients, we will not take on a client unless they agree to get their C-suite into a room with my team. We bring in the technology, we bring HoloLens 2, we bring VR headsets, we bring mixed reality headsets. We show them everything from mobile AR to mixed reality to virtual reality, and then we show them WebXR. And once they see it, then they come out and they start rabbiting on about how they might use it. So, it's utility on one side, and it's fun and art and creativity on the other. So pick your spot where you want to go in, but you have time. It's not going anywhere.
Awesome, thank you, Amy. So in my, let's say, daily job or real-verse job, I deal a lot with startups, right? So it's my responsibility at Microsoft is working with entrepreneurs and founders. And definitely I can tell I've seen an increasing number of new businesses, startups that come to us with ideas around metaverse or NFTs or these new technologies we've been talking about today. So in your opinion, how startups, entrepreneurs specifically, can benefit of the about the metaverse, right? So do you have any story? Have you been working or interacting with any cool startups? So what's in it for an entrepreneur? So how an entrepreneur is looking at the metaverse today? Amy.
Well, I think, the beauty is it's this vast digital landscape. And so, as we've discussed a few of the things that are going to be challenges, so that would be one thing, solving some of those challenges. I'm working with a company called Crucible that are, looking at the identity piece and, how do we, we have a proof of our identity in this metaverse spaces, but then how do we move beyond just pure identity so that that person standing over there who looks like a green panda is really named Bob from Idaho. But beyond that, being able to harness our data, being able to use that data to have a much more transparent exchange. And the other piece, I think, is around maybe looking at sort of the social contract between all of us, and to enable communication or enable us to really experience this global village. Right? We are here, as women celebrating being women, but at the end of the day, all of us are, on this blue marble. We've all gone through a really scary 2-year kind of torturous period that hopefully has sort of galvanized us as humans. So in addition to celebrating our individuality, we should be thinking on these global terms, and startups are no different. Right? There are so many opportunities in the metaverse. So it's solve a problem that's very personal to you that you care about, and chances are you will have a really good shot at success.
Thank you, Amy. Valerie, any story, anything that you think relevant for entrepreneurs that you have seen?
I think the Web3 has taken the concept of social to the next level. I mean, the internet was the availability of information anywhere and very, very, very fast. Web2 was about social media, connecting with people, and I think Web3 it's about connecting people, things, and places as well. I think what's happening is that, the community concept has been taken to the next level. Sorry. For example, if you want to develop NFTs, if you want to develop a metaverse, you have to develop this community, otherwise it's not going to be used, and you need to make this community engage. And I think what's an interesting part for the entrepreneur or for the startup is this engagement model, this gamification as well. I think there are a lot to learn into that space from the Web3, even for startups that are not in the Web3, but the way, looking at the way the Web3 engage with the community is a big thing. The next thing as well that I would say is that in the metaverse you can also observe behavior, consumer pattern. If you want to build something and you want to test it, then perhaps you can test it on the metaverse to see how it's going to be like, what are the consumer habits and behavior. And I think that's also, as a simulation tool, can be also interesting for startups and entrepreneurs.
Amazing, thank you, Jamilia. Sometimes I've seen also some examples of entrepreneurs that are linking metaverse also with sustainability, because they're implementing something that is going to offset or reduce costs and some ideas around that. In your experience, you have any stories, anything to say around entrepreneurs looking into metaverse opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, piggybacking on the whole community concept, I've seen a lot of success with DAOs in terms of sort of like an entry point to connect with community and to get people involved and engaged. And I would even challenge anyone that's in this room that's listening, if you're new to Web3, and you're interested in the metaverse, but you don't know where to start, you can start with opening up a crypto wallet, or you can start with joining a DAO. How many of you are on Discord? Oh, a little bit more representation. How many of you are members of DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations? You can really build up your skill set in that way. And so I think that is one way to sort of sustain that education piece, get people involved, get people engaged, and really serve as an entry point. So whether you're a founder that's looking to build a startup, or whether you're an individual that just wants to know more about a space, find your social cause. I have one client that has created an NFT collection for protecting the rhinos. Shout out to Rhino Savannah. And you might think, wow, protecting the rhinos, what does that have to do with the metaverse? And are there rhinos in the metaverse? No, don't lose me here. The point is that there's a community behind everything. And to the extent that you want to be involved, you can definitely do so in Web3, and then also as an entrant into metaverse as well.
Thank you, Jamilia. Amrita? Yeah, we are talking about, you are an entrepreneur, right? So as a digital artist, so what do you see the opportunity for an entrepreneur looking at the metaverse, or how an entrepreneur should look into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think before I go to like the entrepreneur, I mean, to be fair, it's across everything. It's across the entrepreneurs, but also, you know, the big brands. What I don't understand is why even like really using basic AR, I mean, it's like such a no-brainer, right? Like if you guys please do go ahead and go to the DIFC mural. I mean, it's 20 meters long, 15 meters high. I put a QR code and the entire wall literally just comes at you, right? Now, I just thought there's going to be so many more, like in the future, every time you see a sign, like even that, you should just be able to like stick your phone up and the phone come, you know, the whole panel should be able to come alive. And I don't think, you know, big businesses are using enough, but because maybe they're taking a while to wrap their heads around it. But as a small business owner and as an entrepreneur, well, I mean, just go for it. I mean, it's literally, I mean, a magazine, you can bring back physical if you can merge digital. Like literally you're flicking through a magazine or you're reading a book and the book comes alive. Like, well, I just don't understand why people aren't using it more. Or you want to tell the story about your brand. Why do you have to wait for them to click to go to a website, to do this, to do that? They scan the QR code, it comes out at them, and the story is being told. And that's what I try to do with my art. Like my art is all based on sound, actually. So I first capture a word, so I capture the shape and structure of the sound wave, and then each of the lines I draw to capture the meaning of the word. But all I do is, what you're doing is you're just, instead of that, you just boom, it comes out. And I do think that in the future, our kids and our kids' kids will be like, sorry, why is that just like that? Is that just a painting? Like they'll be tapping it, they'll be putting their phone to it, they'll be putting their VR glasses, Google glasses, they'll be like, Apple glasses, be like, that just does nothing. Like, what is that about, right? And so I do think that, you know, fine, don't wait for people. you know, you talked about DAOs, and we were having this whole conversation today with a bunch of techies at this other conference. And, you know, the true thing is like, I want to believe in DAOs, but a lot of the time, as human beings, our human behaviors, we need a leader. We need people to kind of advise us where to go and what to do. And my advice is the whole point about decentralization is your ability to move away from the big man, the big machine. Don't wait for a big brand for you to take ownership of it. Make your own path. Do your own thing. And I think, you know, because you're agile, yeah, that would be my advice.
Yep, it's a great advice. So, conscious of time, I think we are about to have a very nice dinner. I'm originally from Italy, so I still prefer to have dinner in the real verse. But this is the one thing that my wife wish I would have in the metaverse, so just to lose some weight. So I will just close with a round of a final question for each of you. Maybe your last thoughts, a piece of advice, a golden nugget of wisdom around the metaverse that you want to share with the audience. I will start again, Amrita coming back, so we close it less than a minute each, so we close the panel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is, for me, it's like, you know, okay, again, do I start with augmented reality or virtual reality? I think just go for AR, just experiment. It's easy. You don't need to kind of be on your eyes, whatever. Just be able to go into things that you're able to access without some other kind of machinery, because I understand that's one step further. But the only advice I can give everyone, please, 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 by the end of tonight, go open a MetaMask wallet. That's all I can tell you. Takes 3 minutes. And the other bit of advice is, don't save your password on your phone. Write it down and put it somewhere else. You'll have secret phrases. And then please DM me and tell me you've opened a MetaMask wallet. That's all I want you to do, because I want you to move from Web 2 to Web 3, and then we can have a conversation, because at the moment it's you just listening to us. You need to be part of what's happening.
Awesome, thank you. Jamilia, over to you. Meanwhile, I'm canceling all the passwords from my WhatsApp group.
Sure. I would give everyone the homework of finding their community. Find what is your social cause. I mean, you're obviously here because you're interested in the topic. So we're all on the topic of Web3. If you're interested to learn about it, if you're interested in being more engaged in it, find your community, get involved, learn a new skill set. And it's okay if you fail, you can try again. You mentioned agile. That's part of learning, right? You can reinvent yourself.
Awesome, thank you, Jamilia. Valerie.
Yeah, well, I think I have followed Amrita advice. In fact, I locked my 12 my phrase, my sentence of which is the MetaMask password, into a safe next to the golden coins that my grandma gave me many years ago. So it's the physical, and Web3. No, I think Web3 is going to be ubiquitous. So it's nascent at the moment. So as my colleague here, I would say get involved. I mean, get involved, because it's going to have profound changes in society. Just to say one thing about the war in Ukraine, for example, I mean, a lot of money to Ukraine via cryptocurrency, and that might change the course of the war. So the Web3 is here, so get involved.
Awesome. Amy, closing with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can improve upon what everyone has said here, but you know, besides just kind of, you know, choosing your point of entry, but you know, the beauty of what's in front of us right now is that we are all the builders of the metaverse. Like we all have agency. We can actually change the outcomes of the metaverse. We can decide what the rules will be. And again, we can find our tribes. We can, you know, enact all kinds of change. We can improve ourselves. So, you know, plant your flag somewhere.
Amazing. So first of all, let me thank you, all of you, Amrita, Jamilia, Valerie, Amy. It was a very insightful, great panel. Thank you. And thank you to His Excellency Hussein, Sharjah Research Technology Innovation Park and the Women in Tech. It's great to see a great participation and more. We need more women in tech. We want more women in tech, so that's great to see. And celebrating today all together. So unless there is any question from the audience, I guess we can wrap it up and go for the dinner, I guess, and enjoy a very nice dinner in the real verse all together. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. And thank you kindly to all the audience who are still here and have been with us all through the afternoon and the evening. Before we welcome His Excellency Hussein to the stage, thank you ever so much, we have a video from Johnson & Johnson and their initiatives, if we could play that. And then I shall welcome you to the stage to do your closing remarks.
My main mission in this initiative is to really educate girls and show them the different careers that they can get only by studying STEM topics. It's really open. It opens for them a lot of different careers, a lot of different opportunities, and it's fun. You can be part of the research and development of a company, you can really develop a new product, you can lead a company, and you can be very successful at it. Building on that, in 2015, we launched the WeSTEM 2D initiative globally because we believe women can be catalysts for a healthier future, healthier people, and healthier societies.
So in December, I had a training in Johnson & Johnson, and I saw how science and science in health changes so many things in society and helps so many people and saves so many lives. And it was a very wonderful experience to get to meet all the people that participate in that and put so much effort into helping patients.
I learned a lot during the Little Scientist project. I learned about new people, about science, about DNA, and it helped me understand more about what science is about.
I always knew that I would do something in science as it was my favorite subject in school. I'm so lucky that I have had parents who saw value in higher education and pushed me through it.
So roles and opportunities will be created and will continue to grow for you to be part of.
In 2021 alone, we touched more than 1,400 students, out of which were 700 girls. We started the initiative in the Middle East, aiming to encourage and empower and motivate Middle Eastern girls to pursue careers in STEM.
Women are innovators that meet today's challenges and invent tomorrow's solutions.
Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Hussein Al Mahmoudi, CEO of Sharjah Technology and Innovation Park, for his closing remarks and words of thanks.
So first of all, let me start by thanking our MC here. Big hands for her. She did a wonderful job in running everything smoothly and also on time. So thank you very much for doing a great job. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're really very pleased to have you here, and really, I hope you enjoyed your evening and your sessions today. I think the session's been really very insightful. The topic's been very great. I would like really sincerely to thank our speakers. Thank you very much for taking the time. I know you have a very busy schedule and very busy commitment, but you took the time and accepted our invitation, so I really appreciate your time here. I really appreciate also the participant and the attendees here. Thank you very much. It's all about really building a network and community. Please, use the time now to get to know each other. That's important in business as well, to meet each other and explore new opportunities among yourselves. I'm really very excited about the session today. This is the beginning of a series of programs and initiatives that we will execute throughout the year. Our real objectives really are three. One, development of technology and commercialization of technologies. Two, development of people and talents. And three, creation of venture and companies. So I invite you all to now to be part of a tour. We have a tour, I think, around the building. We have the heart of this building is 3 floors labs, where we have different labs on 3D and metal and wood and others, and then will be followed by dinner. Thank you once again, and look forward to seeing you, inshallah, in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So just to recap on today's event, we started the day with some extraordinary personalities introducing the conversations on the topics. And then we got into 3 main discussions: realigning technology to advance human longevity. And we talked about technology and women leadership in medicine, medical research, and its advancement, and the importance of female leadership traits in business and medicine and society. And then we went on to talk about cryptocurrency funding, the future of female-led startups. What is cryptocurrency, and how do we fund and support, and also the UAE to address federal crypto licensing to embrace fintech? And lastly, we had some interesting and fascinating understanding about the world of metaverse, taking our real world into a digital avatar-based universe. So without concluding ever so quickly, there will be a tour of the center, and if you would wish to join the tour, please join the corridor onto my left hand at the end, and at 7:45, please do join us in the gala dinner. So that's 7:45. Thank you ever so much, and big thanks to Sharjah Research Technology Innovation Park, and also Ms. Yumi for the fantastic and the 3rd edition of Women in Tech. Thank you ever so much, and audience, thank you ever so much.
ما هو لو